Hello, everybody, and welcome to another episode of Wiki Weekends. Karl is off-screen dancing away.
I'm just vibing, mate.
He's got his headphones on, he's been eating his apple. I don't know what he was eating.
I was eating an apple, yeah.
Eating an apple.
If people saw me eating an apple, they'd be so fucking confused, because I eat the entire thing.
I'm going to move on from that. And not
Also
say
eat oranges without taking the skin off.
I'm going to move on.
And kiwis.
Welcome to Wiki Weekends. We're going to have a fun one this time, Karl.
Okay.
Well, I say we're going to have fun. The comments are going to have fun. Because we're talking about Star Wars.
We almost didn't talk about Star Wars for like 6 months. I was so happy. I was so happy not talking about fucking Star Wars. What were we talking about?
Of course, Karl, we are talking about the woman of the hour, Ahsoka Tano.
Is it Ahsoka or is it Ashoka? There's a H on it.
But it's AHS, so it's Ahsoka, I think.
Is it? I've always read it as Ashoka. Well, that's my bad then. That shows how little I care.
I think, as far as I've heard it pronounced, it's Ahsoka, but I guess that's the first thing the comments can correct us on this episode. But yeah, obviously the TV show Ahsoka is about to come out starring Rosario Dawson, and I just figured it would be a hopefully, good time to go through the character, because I vaguely know about Ahsoka, and I think Ahsoka is like a cool looking character and seems to be a cool character, but I don't know too much about her. I obviously know
Lucas, you've got to know she's in the Clone Wars.
Well, I didn't watch the bad Clone Wars. I watched the good Clone Wars. You didn't watch
the Clone Wars, Lucas. You got to watch the Clone Wars.
I did watch the Clone Wars. I watched the Clone Wars that was made by the guy who made Samurai Jack and was fucking awesome.
Yeah, but Lucas, you need to watch the Clone Wars. Watch the Clone Wars.
Watch Rebels.
That's the thing.
Watch Rebels.
Yeah, watch Rebels. But Star Wars. No, this is better. It's like, oh god, I don't think I've ever seen like a media give someone Stockholm syndrome until I saw people like Star Wars fans. You could just step away. There's other media that's not allergic to being interesting.
And we're not commenting on the quality of the Clone Wars or Rebels. It's just
we're talking about the
people that will never let it go.
Yeah, of like, well, no, this is good. You might not like it, but it's good.
It's like, okay, just enjoy it yourself then. You don't have to force it upon other people. But let's not get into all that, Karl. Let's get into Ahsoka Tano.
Yeah.
In my life, when you find people who need your help, you help them, no matter what. So, very much immediately off the bat, just Ahsoka is Padawan to Anakin Skywalker, and sounds like a very different character, a lot more hopeful. Yeah.
And that was always the thing. I think that's the reason why whenever we talk about Anakin Skywalker's turn coming out of nowhere in the movies, people say, well, if you watch the Clone Wars, it all makes sense, because he had his own journey. It's like, well, it's great we never saw that in the films.
It's like, when we're talking about that, we're talking about what is presented in the movies. Like, I shouldn't need 10 hours of ancillary content to make a twist in a movie feel satisfying.
Yeah, and especially ancillary content that was released after the twist.
After the movies. It's like, well, in hindsight, it makes things look a lot better. It's like, yeah, but we didn't have that hindsight then, did we?
But I think the only thing that I remember about the Ahsoka is the breakdown of here's early designs of Ahsoka, where she's wearing a cool Jedi outfit and she's a Twi'lek, yes?
No.
I always get confused.
Ruta.
Okay, because I know Twi'leks also have the head things, but I know she must be of a different race. Has similar looking ones, but are different. Is that she looked pretty cool, but then just for some reason George Lucas is like, no, give her a midriff bearing design. It's like, but she's 12.
Yeah. The mini skirt and the midriff, and it's and obviously that design has been fixed over time.
Yeah.
But yeah, it's again she's a cool looking badass Padawan with dual wielding lightsabers. Yeah. You don't need to give her a mini skirt, Lucas.
No, George Lucas did though.
And when I say Lucas, George Lucas, not me.
Yeah.
Don't blame me for the mini skirt.
Go on, tell me more about Ahsoka Tano then.
So bear in mind as well that I've seen some stuff that isn't the Star Wars movies, but I'm not a massive Star Wars nerd, so I'm going to not know what some of these words are and might mispronounce them and stuff. Bear with us. But yeah. Ahsoka Tano, a Force-sensitive Togruta, I believe, female, was a former Jedi Padawan who, after the Clone Wars, helped establish a network of various rebel cells against the Galactic Empire. Tano was discovered on her homeworld of Shili by Jedi Master Plo fucking Koon. And I only know Plo Koon from like that Jedi Power Battles game, but it was like, he's the one with the golden lightsaber. I'm gonna pick him.
The thing is, do you know about Plo Koon now? Do you know what's so good about him? He was who they told people was going to turn up in Mandalorian. Joe said Luke Skywalker to keep it a secret. They said, no, it's Plo Koon turning up. That's why the guy's got to have CGI on his face. They were legit thinking they were going to bring... And they thought that'd trick people. Like, well, people are going to get mad hype for Plo Koon.
Plo Koon, of all people.
The only one I get excited for is that Jedi with a dick for a head. Do they want to get shot in the back? Like the head penis guy.
I know you mean the one with like the giant forehead, but I can't remember the name of them now.
Literally though, if you Google Jedi with a dickhead, it comes up with that guy.
Yeah, Plo Koon brought her to the Jedi Temple on Coruscant, where she received Jedi training. Following the outbreak of the Clone Wars, Jedi Grandmaster Yoda assigned the young Tano to be the Padawan learner of Jedi Knight Anakin Skywalker.
Good idea, that, mate. Just Master Yoda knocking it out of the park with these great decisions.
And, you know, maybe it was that because he saw something in Tano that was like a very, as I say, bright and hopeful character and hopeful being, that maybe that would kind of bring Anakin, you know, chill him out a little bit. But
what would happen about the opposite, though, if it just made her worse?
Yes.
Because that's the thing, it clearly didn't work. So that's the thing, you can talk about this like, oh, she had a tempering effect on Anakin Skywalker. She clearly didn't, because he still became Darth Vader, murdered many children and countless other individuals during his reign.
He still came for the younglings.
If anything, it makes her story seem pointless, because as much as she tried to influence Anakin, he still immediately turns to the dark side and murdered children. And that's why it's always so funny that they try and keep contextualizing that turn. Like, no, there's actually a deep lore reason. It's like, there's no lore reason good enough that's going to make me understand why he just cut a bunch of kids in half with a laser sword.
Yeah.
There's no way you can possibly explain that turn.
There's no redeeming from that point, is there?
And if anything, it makes me not want to watch the Clone Wars, because I know the character is an arsehole. You're making me ask to watch a show where a character, I know for a fact they're going to murder children.
And, you know... speaking of being an asshole, I don't know why this is the case. It doesn't say. It just says Anakin Skywalker nicknamed her Snips when she joined him at the Battle of Christophsis. Whereas Tano was eager to prove herself, Skywalker had a reputation for recklessness, to say the least, and they had a rather difficult start as master and apprentice. It's like, yep, the point where Anakin was between, like, you know, episode 2 and 3, where I presume all this happened. It's like, that guy was not ready to have an apprentice.
Well, they won't even make him a master. Keep in mind, like, one of the most infamous things they did to him is, like, you're not yet ready to achieve the rank of Jedi Master, despite the fact he is, like, the Jedi with the greatest potential of any Jedi seen in history.
And then, like, then what does he do? Throw a fucking hissy fit and run to his grandpa, and, like, that's exactly why.
How can you do this? This is outrageous. It's unfair.
You know, you can say what you will about the Jedi, but it's like, to them, he's reckless, emotional, like, completely just unreliable. And let's put
him in charge of a young Jedi and let him corrupt another mind. It's like, God damn it.
It's like, Yoda, were you actually wise? Or were you just a moron that, like, just didn't know what he was doing the entire time? It's like, it does, again, as you say, I get that part of it, it's like, oh yeah, like, these characters are really cool, and, like, all of these extra, like, shows are very good and whatever, but it does make characters seem worse, as, like, Yoda just adds another stupid decision to his catalogue.
It's the thing of, like, as good as the story is, to me, it will never be satisfying enough for me to overlook. It's like, imagine trying to rewatch Game of Thrones, knowing how it ends. It's like that for me, of like, you can tell me these shows are good, but all I've got in my head is, well, Anakin's a great character in the Clone Wars. Like, well, that makes me more annoyed that he's such a shit character in the films.
Yeah.
Which are like, the mainline canon that we have to go by.
I think Ahsoka will probably, like, similar to something like Andor, of like, I think they will probably make a very good show. And I think that, a portion of the fan base will shout about it from the rooftops, and I hope they don't fuck up the character, because people, like, Ahsoka is a massive fan favourite character. And I'd love to understand, I'd love to watch that and kind of get an understanding of Ahsoka and why she's so beloved. But
without watching 7 seasons of the Clone Wars.
Mm-hmm.
The thing that puts me off it, just the animation style is so fucking ugly. And I know they're supposed to be stylized, but it doesn't help the fact like they're stylized in a way that is just visually unappealing to me.
Mm-hmm. And again, I'm still just salty that like they took away the original Clone Wars from us.
Oh yeah, Gendy. Like, we're gonna get the guy who did Samurai Jack. Like, because I think some of the best episode of Star Wars content is the shit that guy made, and they made it non-canon.
Like, that episode with General Grievous just like hunting people the fuck down.
Yeah, and it's like very Samurai Jack-esque. There was almost no dialogue.
Yeah, it was so good. So good. And like, again, just not only did we not get more, they like wiped it from fucking existence for the new Clone Wars.
I'm not sure how canon that is, to be fair.
I don't know.
I'll double check that while you go and tell us more about Ahsoka.
As a commander in the Grand Army of the Republic, it goes from like, okay, they work together as master and apprentice to like rescue this one person. Mm-hmm. As commander in the Grand Army of the Republic, it's like, hang on, what? So Tano found a mentor in Clone Captain Rex of the 501st Legion.
I know a lot of people talk about Rex being a great character, but again, I don't care about the Clone Troopers. Because Joe, who else doesn't care about Clone Troopers? Any main character in Star Wars.
The entire main point of the Clone Army is that they're meant to be disposable. And then it's like, oh, but we've built this catalog. Again, we've said this before, like, we make such a point of like them actually being individual people with individual personalities that we should care about, and then we blow them up like they don't matter.
I will never forget, like, when everyone says, oh, but Rex is really cool. It's like, just, and like, he's such a good friend to Obi-Wan and Anakin. Just that shot of Obi-Wan stepping off the clone transporter as it gets blown up, and he doesn't even look over. He doesn't even look backwards to see if anyone's okay. No one, like, they all die, and he doesn't give a shit. And he's like
that, again, that was the entire point of that second movie, was like, look, we have a clone army here. Like, we have made you a disposable army that can fight the disposable army of robots, and no one has to care about a death on either side. And then they go against that in all of the extra content where it's like, but Rex was such a good character, Captain Code, Commander Cody, and all this. And it's like,
again,
why would they then not care about these people when they die?
All it does is make the Jedi seem like even more like monstrous, because the fact that we know all the clone troopers had the potential to,
and then the fact that when they do Order 66, none of those troopers go, oh, I kind of like this commander, I kind of like this Jedi.
Execute Order 66.
Yes, my lord.
That's it, and then it creates, like, like you say, a plot hole of like, why. And I guess there's probably someone saying, well, some of the clone troopers did do that, we just never saw it, or it's in a show that we didn't see.
But again, a lot of that stuff is in ancillary content, but it's not in the movies.
Yeah, in the movies, like, the clone troopers like 100% programmed to just do whatever they're told.
And it's like, I really like the idea of all these extra shows and stuff, but again, it's contradictory to one another. Like, the movies contradict those shows.
And it's like with the Stormtroopers, people say, well, the Stormtroopers are the same, right? So, well, no, because the Stormtroopers have a lot of personality in those films, because they were played by actors who had, like, they were different heights, for example.
And then, in the newer movies, where it's like, oh no, these are just child soldiers that we stole from people.
Was established in previous... But, the Stormtroopers always had a lot of personality in a way. But Clone Troopers barely talk in the movie, and when they do, they talk the same voice, the same personality, and then immediately die. Like I said, just like the shot of Obi-Wan just stepping off the transport and not even looking over his shoulder to see if they're okay, because he doesn't care. Why would he care?
But that was the point. That was what they were billed as in the movies.
Yeah.
Is that you're not meant to care. They're meant to be, again, just effectively a robot army similar to the robot army they were fighting.
And that was like, but I did check the Clone Wars, double check the guy's name, like Genndy Tartakovsky.
That's it, yeah.
Which I highly recommend and is available on Disney+. It is considered non-canon. It serves as a pilot for the CGI The Clone Wars TV show. The character designer for the latter series attempts to translate aspects of the design from 2D to 3D. It was originally reported that the 2008 series would not supersede the continuity of the 2003 series. However, following Disney's acquisition of Lucasfilm in 2014, it was announced that the CGI The Clone Wars would be considered the only official canon. So that show is no longer canon, although some elements translate to the new one. But it's the thing as well, it's not even about the story, it's about just the art style of like Genndy Tartakovsky, the guy who did like Samurai Jack and Primal and Dexter's Lab and Powerpuff Girls. Like some of like the best Star Wars action ever seen is in that show, and it's like, well, no, do this crap CGI because it's cheaper.
Oh,
it still hurts.
It's a shame. It does still hurt, and I think that's like probably for both of us. The reason why we never initially got into the Clone Wars was probably just like being a bit butthurt about the lack of it not being the old Clone Wars. But yeah,
not so much well. Like I said, it looks ugly. It's really visually ugly. It's so dark. So I love like the that animated one with like the contrast. Like, there's the shot that everyone always remembers of like speaking of clone troopers, that one clone trooper holding off the entire droid army. And he's just got the minigun. And he's just like, and he switches to like, his pistol and stuff. And it's like just really fluid, awesome action.
And then I can't remember who the like, unique villain that they had in that show was, but I remember them being really cool as well.
It's
like the other Sith apprentice that like secretly existed.
It's the bald white lady with like the two lightsabers. I've got a name here. It's Asajj or Asajj Ventress.
Come, Padawan. Your fall will be my ascension to the Sith.
Oh, right. I've literally just clicked on their wiki page to see who they were, and like there's a different picture of that doesn't look like, the one from the Clone Wars. But yeah, it says that her assignments pitted her against General Grievous, Sith Apprentice Asajj Ventress, and then bounty hunters such as Cad Bane and Aurra Sing.
And Joe, the reason why the Clone Wars TV show was so good, Joe, that episode you talked about where it's just General Grievous silently hunting Jedi, that was his first appearance.
Was it?
Yeah.
Before the movie?
It says here, the series is notable for introducing one of Revenge of the Sith's villains, General Grievous.
Oh, okay. Because that's the thing that made sense to me when I watched Revenge of the Sith at some point, and like was General Grievous, the one who hunts the Jedi in the Clone Wars show. Like,
and they say that George
to
Lucas
most people, he gets introduced in the text scroll.
And the George Lucas was so impressed by it, they ended up putting part. What they did is they ended up putting part of his characterization into General Grievous. George Lucas was so impressed by the characterization Tartakovsky gave him.
Yeah, and it's like that's the thing is, if nothing else, if you don't want to watch all of it, just go hunt down the General Grievous episode. As you say, it's like on Disney Plus. Because
it's like, fantastic. Yeah.
It goes from General Grievous, like the dude that like says hello, like the General Kenobi line, to actual badass Jedi hunter General Grievous.
And just an example as well of like the Clone Wars, the CGI one just being a bit shit. Is it says here that the character was given a severe cough in Revenge of the Sith, intended to emphasise his organic nature and the flaws of his cyborg prosthesis. His depiction in the Clone Wars, like the animated one, lacked a cough until the concluding episode in which Mace Windu force crushes his chest plate.
Yes,
because like you see like General Grievous is like walking off and just like Sam Jackson grabs him and crushes his chest. This was intended to create continuity with the film and was mentioned in the novelization. However, the CGI Clone Wars series depicts Grievous as already being in his weakened state, so you never see how he got weak.
Yeah.
So it one of the best bits about like the prequel, like General Grievous, you lose half his backstory, which is no longer canon.
We could be here for 17 years talking about the amount of history on this Wikipedia page. So I'm going straight to just like personality and traits now. I'm skipping over the fucking dissertation on Ahsoka.
Yeah.
Ahsoka, sorry. Not Ahsoka. So personality and traits, the fearless, force sensitive.
Okay.
So, this is a conversation between Plo Koon and Anakin Skywalker. What is Ahsoka's strength? She is fearless. That can also be a weakness. Is she a worthy apprentice? No one has her kind of determination, except you. And that's a conversation between Plo Koon and Anakin, so presume that, like, yeah, no one has determination like her apart from Anakin, and it's like, that's why they get, paired together. It's like they're both just strong-headed and determined.
Yeah, and I do remember seeing some breakdowns of it. One of the reasons people like their relationship is because they don't fall into the trap that other ones would have given it romantic implications. Mm-hmm. It's just like one of pure respect and admiration.
And I also think that, Tano kind of gives Anakin a taste of his own medicine of like giving him shit back and won't just bow down to Anakin. Yeah, during her early childhood, her trust in others was negatively impacted by a Jedi imposter who tried to enslave her. That's rough.
Yeah.
It's like the memory of the scorn her fellow villagers felt towards her remained with her until her trip to Ilum. When upon trusting Master Yoda, she felt that trust came easier to her because she was again trusting her own instincts. Mm-hmm. The teachings and values of the Jedi Order became sacred to her, and she always sought to protect the lives of innocents. And it's like, yeah, that's pretty cool. Like, pretty just standard.
For a Jedi, yeah. Then again, she's studying under Anakin, who, like, protecting the innocents was kind of a guideline, not a hard rule.
More like burning the Tusken Raiders alive, including the women and children.
Especially, I still think one of my favourite shitpost meme images is, that guy waking up from a coma? And he's like, it's a guy waking up from a coma, and he's like, oh, you've been in a coma for 10 years. Like, oh boy, I can't wait. Is the DFS sale still over or something?
Oh, right.
It's one of a Tusken Raider waking up, and he goes, you've been in a coma, and he goes, oh god, are the women okay? What about the children? And it's just, I have bad news. He's like, no!
Okay, so yeah, as a teenager, Tano was snarky, cocky, stubborn, reckless, and impulsive, yet also brave, loyal, generous, and kind-hearted. Mm-hmm. And it started out like, oh yeah, just like Anakin, and then it said kind-hearted. So I got it. That's the difference.
The thing is, he was nice right up until he got told. Like, I will never get how stupid like Padme dying is, because she's like, Anakin gets told she's going to die in childbirth, and then she just gives up.
Yeah.
And you have a robot who for some reason can understand emotions, just says she's lost her reason to live as she's pushing 2 live babies out of her. She barely gets like the second baby out the vag before she just gives up and dies. God. So she's got nothing to live for when you've just given birth to 2 kids.
The young Tano's emotions made her a perfect apprentice for Anakin Skywalker, with Grandmaster Yoda himself recognizing that 2 became twice the trouble after being paired together.
That seems like a bad idea.
Yeah, I'm not so sure that was good. The good thing.
This is like the opposite of a good idea. Oh yeah, like Anakin's already a little shit. Let's pair him with someone who's even more of a little shit, so they could both be like double little shits. It's like, so that's the whole reason like the Anakin Obi-Wan apprenticeship works, because you've got like the level-headed, calm Obi-Wan with the young brash apprentice. Like, character design 101 and storytelling is you don't get characters who have the same personality together, because then there's no conflict.
Once again, you've proved if you'll excuse me. I hate it when he does that.
Yeah, it says here that she had a tendency to follow her heart, which negatively impacted her path to Jedi Knighthood, and maybe somebody that wasn't Anakin would have, like, reined her in a little bit.
Yeah. Like, nah, man, embrace it. It's fucking sick, innit?
In her younger years, Tano's emotions inhibited her ability to make wise decisions, although she eventually gained the confidence to make the right ones, despite the great cost to her feelings. Beyond learning from Skywalker, and from both Skywalker and Obi-Wan Kenobi, the teachings of Qui-Gon Jinn were indirectly passed down to Tano. And I presume that's like through the teachings of Obi-Wan.
Yeah.
And it's like, yeah, it's one of those things where, again, not really shown much in the movies, but it seems like Qui-Gon was just like the fucking best. Yeah,
actually, he's in the movie for like 5 minutes, but every time you hear someone talk about him, like, man, Joe had a big dick. It's like, oh, Qui-Gon Jinn. It's like, I kind of wish we never actually got to see any of that.
Yeah.
Like,
and
always
obviously
talking about Qui-Gon Jinn being a legend. It's like, we've got Yoda bit, didn't we? Like, We finally got to see Yoda bit. One of the best bits of the prequels is Yoda flipping everywhere. Little flippity flop.
Yeah, it's weird because like I'm sure there's some content out there with Qui-Gon in it, but yeah, in the movies it's like, yeah, he's a good strong part of that first film, but like a lot of it is just him interacting with like Anakin and what's the fucking just Anakin's owner?
I don't know, like
Watto, is it? Yeah, like just like, you know, making bets with Watto and stuff like that, and it's like he comes across as like a very clever, calm character, but yeah, I would have liked to see a bit more of that Neeson. But yeah, it just kind of goes on and says like over time she becomes a lot more mature and enlightened, and I'm presuming that's where we kind of see her, you know, in The Mandalorian. She's a lot more calm, and that's what we're gonna get with like the Rosario Dawson character from like Ahsoka, the TV show. And you know, I'm getting a bit long in the tooth, so we have like powers and abilities and stuff. But you know, all you need to know is that she's got like dual wield lightsabers, like white lightsabers, and it looks cool as fuck. Like,
that's the thing.
Well, to be fair, she did start out with like dual wielding green lightsabers. Did she here?
Yeah, did she purify her lightsaber or some shit like that?
I don't know, but it's got her dual wielding her white lightsabers during her adult life.
I still could not stop laughing during The Mandalorian. Well, she comes in with her dual lightsabers, and she blocks like the person with like the Beskar spear, and she's there like, oh no, she's so strong. What do I do? It's like, we'll turn off one of your lightsabers.
Yeah,
and it's so like,
Carl, it's seen as an unforgivable like tactic. It's like, fuck that, just turn them off and on again.
Yeah, did we have like a bunch of people
powerful.
We had a bunch of people give us shit for that in like a fact theme video where we just laugh like, why does no Jedi ever turn their lightsaber on and off all the time? And the answer is because even though in the Star Wars universe lightsabers are swords you can turn off, they are always treated as if they would samurai swords or
samurai swords. Yeah.
And you can't turn one of those off. So choreography-wise, they never take advantage of the unique like physics of a lightsaber and treat it like they would a sword. And then a bunch of people, well, no, it's a dishonorable technique to turn your lightsaber off. So why don't Sith do it all the time?
Yeah, and it's so disrespectful that even the Sith have agreed not to do it. Why would they? They're the Sith. They're the evil people.
The Sith who kill children.
There are too many of them. What are we going to do?
I just clicked here on the lightsabers. I do like the design of the hilts of their lightsabers. I'll send you a picture over.
Let's have a look. What is it?
They're like very cool and sleek.
Oh yeah, so that's the closest we've ever seen. To, like that is a samurai sword. That's a katana hilt.
It's like a katana. Yeah, it is.
And she's even got the shorter one, which would be the wakizashi. The shorter sword that samurai would wield with alongside.
I'm aware of it, but I don't know the name.
But you know, they always wield like a shorter sword, don't they?
She obtained the kyber crystals used in these lightsabers 1 year after the end of the Clone Wars, retrieving them from the lightsaber of the sixth brother and an Inquisitor. Oh, an Inquisitor she had killed during the occupation of Rada. Though the crystals originally emitted a red blade, she purified them with the Force, turning them white.
Is that more or less edgy to you than just wielding two lightsabers? Because that's the thing, wielding two lightsabers is already pretty edgy. Especially two lightsabers that look like katanas. We are bordering on some fucking weeb-ass territory.
But they're actually dual-wielded red katanas that have been purified by the Force.
Yeah, is that more or less edgy to you? Would it be more edgy if they were both red?
I mean, it would be more edgy if they were both red to me. Okay. I think. In terms of just pure edgy the hedgy, I think it would be definitely edgier if it was red.
So I often think as well, that great shot, like it's again just like more of Star Wars being allergic to being interesting, where like Anakin picks up Dooku's lightsaber and he's holding a red lightsaber and a blue lightsaber, both sides of the Force, and he cuts like Dooku's head off with them, but then he drops the red lightsaber instead of fighting with two.
Yeah.
Is it because that visual will be too interesting and seem like. Has there ever been a Star Wars character who fights with 2 different coloured lightsabers, even though that's the coolest thing?
There must have been, right?
But you never in the TV shows, though. And that's the only time in this mainline series they ever do it. And like the visual storytelling there of like a dark side and light side wielded together. And it's like, that would be the ultimate, like, example, like the balance of the Force. He's literally holding the symbol of both.
Yeah.
Why doesn't he fight with both?
It would be really cool if, like, through episode 3, you can, we obviously get that one moment where it symbolizes Anakin's, like, potential turning point of, like, as you say, the red, the blue, the dark, the light, the good, the evil. But, like, if he spent episode 3 dual wielding a red and a blue, and then towards the end of the movie, like, he just abandons the blue, goes and kills the younglings with the red lightsaber, like...
Yeah, and you might think, oh no, that'd be a bit, like, on the nose. Let me introduce you to a little series called Star Wars. At least that one would have been visually interesting and cool, and allowed for some neat choreography. Because like I said, they are, like, allergic to doing anything interesting with the idea of lightsabers. They treat them like swords, even though they're not.
Mm-hmm.
So I think the coolest thing we've ever seen with them is in the sequel trilogy, where Kylo Ren uses it like a fucking laser beam. Do you know when he kills like your Imperial Guard by turning it off and on again?
Oh, right, yeah.
And it's like, that's the only time you ever see someone do that. And it's like, that's the most dangerous shit ever. Why don't people do that all the time?
So broken that they had to put in a reason in lore why they don't do it.
But that's what it
because
insta-kills
otherwise that would be like the most broken technique.
But it like insta-kills that Imperial Guard, doesn't it? Where he just puts the lightsaber into his head, presses the button, turns it on, and instantly kills him.
Yep.
Why aren't people doing that all the time?
And we'll just end here with just a comment from Rosaria Dawson.
I'm curious, what's she saying about
so this is, talking about preparing for the role of Ahsoka, presumably the show.
Yeah, she loves orange.
Not just... Yeah, this is talking about Ahsoka the show, so not her first appearance in Mandalorian or anything, but she says, "Man, I am not a workouty person. I am in my 40s getting into the most physically demanding role of my life. Ahsoka's not someone who gets tired. I can't play this like a human. She is an indefatigable alien. I've never seen that word in my life. That threw me off a lot. She's precise. She's master level. The challenge for me is to show up and express that. It's like, I won't necessarily work out for myself, but I'll work out for Ahsoka any day of the week. I'm a huge fan, and I don't want to watch and be like, yo, Ahsoka's hand seems a little shaky there.
Well, at least she's committed to the idea of, like, a Jedi should fight with inhuman precision.
Yeah, she's like, this is a master level Jedi. She is this alien who is just completely out of my own league, and I want to put respect to that on screen.
It's the one thing I do appreciate about like newer Star Wars stuff. It's like, okay, so what does Anakin do when he's got a lightsaber? 50,000 backflips.
Is that what makes Yoda such an indefeatable opponent?
Yeah, like what would you... The thing is though, I always think back to that great breakdown of like the Emperor in the throne room versus like 4 Jedi Masters. It's like, how did he win so quick? It's like, well, how do you defend against a from the ground 720 screaming spin?
You know, in that mode in Battlefront 2 where you got to pick any of the like Jedi or Sith?
Oh yeah.
Did you play as the Emperor just so you could fly around doing that?
You could do this, and he even makes the noise. Yeah, he makes the when he does it. It's great.
Well, anyway, that's been a brief overview of Ahsoka, and I'm looking forward to the show. I hope it does well.
I mean, that's the thing. Like, the annoying thing is, I'm fatigued from Star Wars, but I have to watch it because if I don't, every time I stream, it's like, have you watched Ahsoka yet? Have you watched Ahsoka? It's like, I can't escape it. There's a bus that goes past my house every day that just has the giant Ahsoka face on it looking
the
at
reminder.
me. It's on Disney. Every time I boot up Disney Plus to watch The Simpsons, it's just there.
Yeah, I'm looking forward to Ahsoka, and fingers crossed that it does well. So yeah,
I can't wait for someone from Star Wars to appear so I can become the Leonardo DiCaprio meme and be like, that's the character from Star Wars. That's what I'm looking forward to.
Can't wait for CG Luke Skywalker to come in so that Mark Hamill can't get paid again.
Oh man, I'm waiting for Darth Vader's going to be in that show again.
I think they've already confirmed that. Yeah,
we're going to have Darth Vader in that show.
Well, it'll be Anakin, I presume. I don't know. Because
I think she appeared in The Mandalorian.
I don't know what the
set.
timeline of the show is, but anyway, let's get going. Thank you for joining. Let's go enjoy Ahsoka next week or whenever it comes out. Thank you, everyone.
Cheers.